Ladies and gentlemen, in the heart of modern cities, in bustling streets of New York, London, and Paris, in coffee shops, college campuses, and corporate offices, a quiet revolution is taking place. It's not driven by politics. It's not powered by marketing. It's powered by truth. And that truth is Islam. Islam is now the fastest growing religion in the West. People are beginning to ask, why? Let me tell you, in a world where everything seems to be moving at the speed of light, technology advancing, cultures colliding, and trends changing faster than the seasons, people in the West are quietly facing an inner crisis. Despite all the progress, there's a growing sense of emptiness, a spiritual void that materialism can't fill. It's no longer just about achieving success or accumulating wealth. People are beginning to ask deeper, more profound questions. Who am I? Why am I here? What is the purpose of my life? These questions are not new, but in today's society they are often drowned out by noise, social media, consumerism, entertainment, and the pursuit of pleasure. Yet, even when surrounded by abundance, many feel hollow inside. They are searching for something meaningful, something that goes beyond the surface. They are hungry for purpose, and increasingly they are finding that purpose in Islam. Islam offers a clear, unwavering answer to the questions that many are too afraid to ask. It doesn't shy away from life's biggest mysteries. Instead, it confronts them head-on with clarity, logic, and spiritual depth. Islam teaches that human beings are not accidents of evolution, not just complex organisms in a chaotic universe, but creations of a higher power, Allah, who made them with intention and love. This belief in divine purpose resonates deeply with people who have grown tired of relativism and randomness. When you've lived your entire life believing that nothing really matters, the idea that your life has meaning feels revolutionary. Islam doesn't just provide answers, it provides structure. In a world that is constantly changing, where values shift with public opinion, Islam remains consistent. Its teachings have stood the test of time for over 1,400 years. In the West, where many are overwhelmed by the pressure to fit in or reinvent themselves according to societal expectations, Islam offers peace and stability. It teaches that your worth is not based on how many followers you have, or how you look, or what you own, but on your relationship with your Creator and your actions in this world. That is a powerful message in an age dominated by superficial validation. For many, this message comes like a breath of fresh air. It cuts through the noise. It silences the endless anxiety caused by trying to live up to unrealistic standards. Islam offers a way of life that aligns with the soul's natural inclination toward truth and goodness. It gives people permission to slow down, to reflect, to find stillness in a world obsessed with movement. It teaches that your heart will never be at rest until it connects with its true source, Allah. The transformation often begins with curiosity. A person may stumble upon a verse of the Quran or witness the serenity of a Muslim during prayer. Something sparks inside them. They begin to read, to watch, to listen. And what they find is not a religion of oppression as often portrayed, but a way of life rooted in mercy, justice, and balance. They see Muslims fasting during Ramadan not because they're forced to, but because they choose self-discipline over indulgence. They see the humility of daily prayer, the community spirit of Friday gatherings, the equality among people regardless of race, wealth, or status. And slowly, their misconceptions begin to melt away. What surprises many Westerners is how Islam speaks to both the heart and the intellect. It's not a blind faith, it's a reasoned faith. The Quran repeatedly invites its readers to think, to reflect, to ponder it. It addresses the mind with logic and the soul with beauty. This dual appeal is especially powerful in the West, where people have been taught to question everything. Islam doesn't fear questions. It embraces them. It welcomes honest inquiry and rewards those who seek the truth. More and more people are realizing that Islam is not foreign. It's familiar. It doesn't take them away from who they are. It brings them back to who they were always meant to be. It restores the natural disposition toward God that every human is born with. In embracing Islam, they feel like they are not changing their identity, but reclaiming it. This is why Islam is growing, not through force, not through pressure, but through conviction. People are embracing Islam because it fills a void that nothing else could. It gives them peace in a restless world, answers in a world of confusion, and purpose in a world that often feels meaningless. And once they find that truth, they don't just adopt it, they live it, they share it, and they become walking examples of its transformative power. In the end, people in the West are not converting to Islam because they are rejecting their cultures. They are embracing a deeper, universal truth. They are saying, I want to live a life that matters. I want to serve a purpose greater than myself. And in Islam, they are finding exactly that. Islam's appeal in the West is not driven by emotion alone, nor is it rooted in blind tradition. What makes Islam unique among world religions is its profound ability to speak to both the mind and the soul simultaneously. In a culture that often separates faith from reason, Islam brings the two together in harmony. This dual appeal is what draws people in, those who are not only looking for spiritual fulfillment, but also seeking intellectual satisfaction. They want something that makes sense, something that can be examined, questioned, and still stand firm under scrutiny. Islam offers that in a way few other systems do. In many Western societies, religion has become synonymous with vague spirituality or rigid ritualism. For some, it is seen as outdated, anti-science, or simply a matter of personal feeling. But Islam breaks through that mold. It is not a belief system that asks you to switch off your brain in order to switch on your faith. It challenges you to think. Qur'an is filled with verses that begin with phrases like, do you not reflect, or will you not use your reason? It does not fear inquiry, it invites it. This resonates deeply in Western cultures that value education, logic, and scientific reasoning. Islam doesn't ask people to believe just because their parents did. Take the concept of Tawhid, the oneness of God. It is simple yet profound. God is one, without partner, without image, without beginning or end. He is not part of creation. He is the creator. This concept is not only the heart of Islamic theology, but also one of the most intellectually satisfying ideas for those coming from backgrounds filled with contradictions about the nature of God. In Islam, There is no confusion about who you worship. There are no intermediaries, no saints, no complex divine hierarchies. Just you and your Creator. This clarity, this simplicity speaks volumes to those who are tired of mystery without meaning. Then there's the Quran, the final revelation in Islam. Many Western converts will tell you it was the Quran that first pulled them in, not just the poetic beauty of its Arabic verses, but the depth of its content. People read it expecting old world wisdom or religious folklore, but what they find are verses that speak directly to their lives today. Verses that talk about the inner workings of the human soul, the stages of embryonic development, the formation of rain clouds, the behavior of hypocrites, the dignity of women, the purpose of suffering, and the nature of justice. And it's not just the content, it's the voice of the Quran that is so unique. It doesn't read like a man talking about God. It reads like God talking to man. That tone, that directness, that authority, it moves people. It pierces through years of doubt, fear, or spiritual numbness. The more people read, the more they realize Islam is not a set of arbitrary rules. It is a system designed for human well-being. The prayers, the fasting, the charity, the moral boundaries, all of it is for your benefit, not God's. Islam doesn't need you, you need Islam. That realization is empowering. Westerners are often drawn to the discipline of Islam because it aligns with something deep inside them, the desire to live with structure, with integrity, with purpose, in a world full of indulgence and excess. The self-restraint of Islam feels like liberation, not restriction. The 5 daily prayers are not burdens. They are anchors in a chaotic world. Fasting is not starvation, it's purification. Charity is not loss, it's growth. Everything has meaning, everything fits. Even the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, whom many Westerners initially view with skepticism due to media distortions, becomes a powerful source of inspiration once they learn who he truly was. They discover a man who was not only a religious leader, but a father, a husband, a statesman, and a mercy to mankind. His teachings were not abstract philosophies. They were lived realities. And when people in the West read his sayings, see how he dealt with the poor, the oppressed, the women, the children, they begin to realize that he is not a figure of the past, but a guide for the present. All of this leads to a moment of clarity. Islam makes sense. It speaks to reason and doesn't contradict it. It touches the heart but doesn't manipulate it. It asks for submission, but only after reflection. For many Westerners, that is exactly what they've been looking for. Not a leap of blind faith, but a walk of informed belief. Not a religion that demands loyalty without understanding, but one that grows stronger the more you understand it. This is why Islam is not just surviving in the intellectual environment of the West, it's thriving. Because in a world where people are constantly told to choose between the head and the heart, Islam says take both. And for thousands of people every year, that invitation changes everything. In today's world, especially in the West, the idea of freedom is celebrated above all else. Freedom of speech, freedom of choice, freedom to live how you want. These values are ingrained in Western culture. But what happens when freedom is misunderstood? When it becomes detached from purpose and discipline? The result is what we're seeing across societies today. confusion, moral decline. People are told that they can do whatever they want, be whoever they want, love whoever they want, and consume whatever they want without consequence. The idea sounds liberating, but in reality, it often leads to a kind of silent slavery. Slavery to desires, to trends, to opinions, to the endless need for validation. In a society that promotes indulgence, people are losing control of themselves. That's where Islam stands out. Islam doesn't just offer freedom. It offers freedom through discipline. In Islam, freedom isn't about doing whatever you feel in the moment. It's about rising above your lower self. It's about mastering your impulses and living with intentionality. This is why Islam's teachings are rooted in self-discipline. The 5 daily prayers train the believer to pause, reflect, connect with something greater than themselves. Fasting during Ramadan is just about avoiding food. It's about controlling anger, guarding the tongue, taming the ego. Giving zakat, charity, is a constant reminder that wealth is not your master, you are its steward. Islam's emphasis on modesty in behavior and dress isn't about restriction. It's about dignity, self-respect, and resisting the hypersexualized culture that devalues people based on appearance. In the West, many are starting to recognize the emptiness of the so-called freedom they've been sold. Mental health issues are at an all-time high. Anxiety, depression, addiction, and loneliness are rampant. People are more connected than ever digitally, yet more isolated than ever emotionally. They chase pleasure after pleasure, whether through substances, relationships, or consumerism, but never feel satisfied. And why would they? When you live only for yourself, when your life is about satisfying momentary urges, you end up feeling hollow. That's because the soul was created for something greater. Islam speaks directly to this crisis. It teaches that true peace, inner peace, comes not from satisfying every desire, but from controlling them. That's a message that's radically different from what most people hear every day. It's countercultural, but it's also powerful, because deep down people know that lasting success in life, whether spiritual or worldly, requires discipline. Every athlete, every entrepreneur, every artist who has achieved greatness had to say no to distractions and yes to structure. Islam applies this same principle to the soul. If when a person embraces Islam, they don't become restricted. They become free. Free from addiction to ego, free from the expectations of others, free from the endless race for material status. This freedom comes with responsibility, yes, but that responsibility is what gives life meaning. It transforms a person from someone drifting through life into someone living with direction and purpose. Even non-Muslims are beginning to admire the discipline of Muslims, especially during Ramadan. They see young people waking up before sunrise to fast all day while maintaining school or work responsibilities. They witness Muslims turning down food, drink, and distractions, not because anyone is watching them, but because they are accountable to God. That level of self-control is rare and it's admirable. It makes people ask, what kind of belief system creates that kind of strength? The truth is, Islam isn't hard. What's hard is living without guidance, without boundaries, without something to ground you. Islam provides that grounding. And that's why so many people in the West are gravitating toward it. Not because it offers a life of comfort, but because it offers a life of clarity. When you know your limits, you can actually live with greater freedom. You don't waste your energy chasing things that don't matter. You don't destroy yourself with excess. You live with balance. Balance is a central principle in Islam. Eat, but don't overeat. Sleep, but don't be lazy. Work, but don't neglect your family. Love, but don't idolize. Islam teaches moderation in everything, because true strength is not in extremes, but in control. When people see how Islam teaches this balanced way of life, they are drawn to it. They are tired of being pushed to extremes by society, whether in consumption, emotion, or ideology. They seek harmony, and they're finding it in Islam, the culture that worships the self. Islam calls for submission, not to another person, not to a government, but to the one who created you. That submission is not humiliation, it's empowerment. Because once you submit to Allah, you are no longer a slave to anything else. That's real freedom. That's real strength. And that's why Islam, with its discipline, its structure, and its moral clarity, is attracting the hearts and minds of people all across the Western world. The media plays a powerful role in shaping how people perceive the world. It tells us who to admire, who to fear, what to pursue, and what to avoid. For decades, Islam has been portrayed in the Western media through a lens of fear, suspicion, and distortion. Headlines associated with violence, terrorism, oppression, and extremism. Movies and TV shows often reduce Muslims to flat characters, angry, backward, or dangerous. These portrayals are so widespread that for many people in the West, their first exposure to Islam comes not from a real Muslim, but from a distorted image on a screen. And yet, despite this massive wave of misinformation, people are still embracing Islam. Not a few, but thousands every year. That alone should make the world pause and ask, if Islam is as bad as the media says, then why are so many people, especially educated, thoughtful individuals, choosing to become Muslim? The answer is simple. Truth has a power that cuts through lies. Misinformation can only go so far before reality starts to expose it. And that's exactly what's happening in the West. As more people meet Muslims, work with them, live near them, or go to school with them, they start to see that the image they have been shown doesn't match the reality. They see Muslims who are kind, hard-working, intelligent, peaceful, and deeply spiritual. They see families that are close-knit, marriages that are stable, children who are respectful, and communities that are generous. They see people fasting in Ramadan, not out of fear, but out of love. They hear the Amr, the call to prayer, and feel a strange sense of calm. And for the first time, they begin to question what they've been told. Curiosity is a powerful thing. When someone begins to dig deeper, to read the Quran for themselves, to listen to Muslim scholars, to hear the stories of converts, they start to realize how much has been hidden from them. They see a religion that is not about hate, but about mercy, a faith that doesn't call for violence, but for justice, a system that doesn't oppress women, but honors and protects them, a message that is not new or foreign, but a continuation of what every prophet from Adam to Jesus came with. Worship one God, live righteously, and prepare for the hereafter. This discovery can be shocking at first. For years they've been told that Islam is the other, a threat to their way of life, but now they are beginning to see that Islam may be the very thing their life has been missing. The Quran doesn't speak like a book of hate. It speaks like a book of healing. It addresses the human condition with depth and clarity. It speaks about the heart, the soul, society, justice, mercy, and truth in a way that resonates deeply, even with someone who has never practiced a religion before. Many converts describe their first encounter with the Quran as feeling like someone is speaking directly to them, answering questions they never dared to ask out loud. As people see the lies unravel, they begin to feel a strong sense of betrayal. Why didn't I know this sooner? Why was I taught to fear this? And with that realization comes a turning point. They stop believing what they hear and start seeking the truth for themselves. That's when change happens. That's when hearts open. Ironically, the more the media tries to demonize Islam, the more attention it brings to it. And attention leads to investigation. That investigation leads to understanding, and understanding leads to acceptance. What was meant to destroy ends up becoming a path to discovery. Over and over, people say, I started out wanting to prove Islam wrong. I ended up becoming Muslim. This is not to say that every portrayal of Islam is malicious. Some are simply ignorant, but the harm is the same. Stereotypes and misinformation breed fear. Fear creates division. Division destroys trust. And yet, in the face of all that, Islam continues to spread. Because truth does not need advertising. It does not need a marketing campaign. It simply needs to be seen, heard, and lived. And when it is, it speaks for itself. People are not embracing Islam because of what they see on TV. They are embracing it despite what they see. Because when they finally get a clear view, whether through meeting a sincere Muslim or reading the Qur'an or witnessing the strength of faith in the face of adversity, they realize that Islam is not the enemy, it is the answer. It is not a religion of hate. It is a religion of hope. This is the silent revolution taking place in the West, not with protest or politics, but with hearts quietly turning toward truth. Every time someone chooses to look beyond the headlines, every time they pick up a Quran or visit a mosque or ask a Muslim a real question, a wall comes down. And once that wall falls, what they find on the other side is not what they feared, but what they've been searching for all along. One of the most powerful reasons Islam is growing so rapidly in the West is because it gives people something that modern life often strips away: identity. In a society where people are constantly told to define themselves by external things, jobs, appearances, relationships, popularity, many are left feeling lost. The question, who am I, haunts them. They chase labels, trends, ideologies, and even subcultures, trying to feel a sense of belonging. But every time they think they've found it, the goalposts shift. Islam cuts through this identity crisis with clarity and certainty. It tells you exactly who you are. A servant of God, a unique creation with a divine purpose. Your value isn't based on your job title, your income, your fashion choices, or how many likes you get on a post. It's based on your taqwa, your awareness and mindfulness of God. That's it. Whether you're rich or poor, white or black, male or female, young or old, none of it increases or decreases your worth in the eyes of your Creator. This truth strikes deep. In a world of endless comparison and self-doubt, Islam affirms your identity not as someone trying to fit in, but as someone who was already born with meaning. Many people in the West feel as though they're drifting, disconnected from tradition, from family, from any real sense of belonging. Islam provides that structure. When someone becomes a Muslim, they don't just join a religion, they join a global family. They can walk into a mosque in any country in the world and be welcomed with open arms. They can meet strangers who treat them like brothers or sisters simply because they share the same faith. That kind of unity is rare in a world where individualism is pushed to the point of isolation. Islam says, you are not alone. You are part of something greater, something timeless, something that connects you not only to God, but to others around you. In the West, many people are raised with a fragmented worldview. They go to school to learn math, but not morals. They learn science, but not purpose. They hear about rights, but not responsibilities. Everything is compartmentalized. There is no guiding thread to tie it all together. Islam provides that thread. It is the complete way of life. It doesn't just tell you what to believe. It tells you how to live, from how you wake up in the morning, to how you treat your neighbor, how you eat, how you speak, how you raise your children, how you handle money. Everything has guidance. And far from being a burden, this comprehensive system brings people peace. Because when you know how to live, you stop guessing. You stop thriving. For the time. What makes this system so appealing is that it brings consistency. In a world of shifting morals, Islam remains steady. The same principles that applied 1,400 years ago apply today. While the world debates what truth even means, Islam offers truth that is not up for vote or trend. And that truth brings comfort. When people see how Islam honors parents, protects marriage, promotes honesty, forbids injustice, commands modesty, and uplifts the weak, they begin to see a lifestyle that is not oppressive, but liberating. It's not regressive, it's revolutionary. But once converts often say that accepting Islam felt like coming home. It gave them a framework for life that was not only logical, but deeply fulfilling. They found peace in prayer, purpose in obedience, and strength in community. But more than anything, they found a sense of self. They no longer needed to create an identity. They discovered the one they were born with, the one that had been buried under years of distraction and confusion. And perhaps most beautiful of all is that Islam gives a person not only an identity in this world, but hope for the next. In a secular world where death is often treated as the end, Islam reminds you that it's just the beginning. Your life is not random. Your struggles are not meaningless. Every act you do with sincerity, even the smallest, is seen and valued by God. That message gives people the strength to endure pain, the courage to change, and the hope to move forward. Because they know they are not just living for today. They're preparing. This is the power of Islam. In a world where people are desperate for direction, aching for purpose, and searching for identity, Islam answers with clarity, conviction, and compassion. It reminds you of who you are, where you came from, and where you're going. And once a person tastes that kind of truth, once they feel that kind of certainty, they never want to go back. They've found something priceless, themselves, through the light of faith. And that is why Islam continues to grow in the West, not through pressure, not through propaganda, but through the undeniable pull of truth that gives life meaning. Islam is not just a religion. It is a way of life that aligns deeply with the natural fitrah, or innate disposition of the human being. In the West, where people are bombarded with conflicting ideologies, endless distractions, and ever-changing values, many are beginning to feel disconnected from something essential their own souls. They have access to everything the world has to offer: entertainment, wealth, education, opportunity. Yet they feel that emptiness is not a result of lacking material things. It is a spiritual void. It's the ache of a heart that has been pulled away from its creator. Islam speaks directly to that heart. It doesn't just offer rules or rituals. It offers reconnection. It offers the human soul exactly what it has been searching for: peace, purpose, and proximity to God. In Islam, the path to God is not mysterious or hidden. It's clear, direct, and accessible to anyone. You don't need to go through a priest, confess in a booth, or perform impossible tasks. You simply turn to Allah with sincerity. Whether you're a billionaire or broke, a scholar or a student, an addict or a clean soul, Allah welcomes you. Islam teaches that the door of repentance is always open. The moment you say La ilaha illallah, there is no God but Allah, you're starting anew. That powerful concept attracts people, especially those who feel broken, lost, or tired of carrying the guilt of their past. Modern society often makes people feel unworthy unless they are successful by worldly standards. But Islam teaches that your worth is based on your relationship with God, not your resume. It encourages people to heal from within. Prayer becomes a conversation with your Creator, not a performance for others. Fasting becomes an act of purification, not punishment. Giving charity becomes a way to cleanse your wealth, not a loss. Every act, no matter how small, can be transformed into worship if done with the right intention. This idea transforms people's lives. They begin to find meaning in their daily actions, purpose in their pain, and hope in their struggle. One of the most unique aspects of Islam is that it speaks to the entire human being, body, mind, and soul. Its guidance is not just spiritual, it's also psychological and emotional. For example, Islam emphasizes gratitude as a central part of life. Science now confirms that gratitude improves mental health. But Islam taught this centuries ago. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, "Look at those below you, and not those above you, for that will keep you from belittling the blessings Allah has bestowed upon you." This advice helps believers remain grounded and content, especially in a world obsessed with comparison. Likewise, the daily prayers are not just rituals. They are moments of stillness, structure, and reflection. They teach discipline, presence, and humility. In a fast-paced society where everyone is rushing, the prayer forces you to stop, to breathe, and to remember your Creator. That alone has a profound impact on mental health. Converts often describe how prayer brings them peace, unlike anything they've ever experienced. It calms their minds, centers their hearts, it gives them clarity. It becomes their anchor in a chaotic world. Another reason people in the West are drawn to Islam is its emphasis on balance. Islam doesn't promote extreme asceticism nor reckless indulgence. It teaches moderation in all things: eating, spending, talking, even sleeping. This balance helps people lead healthier, more sustainable lives. They stop chasing highs that never last. They begin to live with intention and direction. And when life hits them with hardships, which it always does, they have the tools to face those trials with patience and faith. Islam also gives people a clear moral framework. In a time when people are told to follow your truth or do whatever feels right, many are left confused. They want guidance. They want clarity. They want to know what's right and wrong, not based on opinion, but on something eternal. Islam provides that. It doesn't change with culture or trends. It remains consistent. It provides answers to life's biggest questions. Why are we here? What happens when we die? What is the purpose of suffering? These are questions many avoid or gloss over. But Islam confronts them directly, and the answers it gives resonate deeply with those who are truly seeking. Perhaps most importantly, Islam offers a personal connection with God that is free from intermediaries. When you pray, you speak directly to your Creator. When you sin, you seek forgiveness directly from Him. This intimacy makes a relationship deeply personal and transformational. It's not about fearing a distant deity. It's about loving a merciful one. It's about realizing that Allah knows your pain, your secrets, your hopes, and still loves you, still invites you to return. In the end, what draws people to Islam is not just logic or theology, though those are strong. It's the peace they feel when they practice it. It's the way their hearts settle when they recite the Quran. It's the relief of finally understanding that they don't have to carry their burdens alone. Islam is not foreign to the soul. It's home. And once a person tastes that connection with their Creator, no false promise of modern life can compare. That's why Islam continues to grow, not by force, but by touching hearts that have been waiting to be awakened.